Hey everyone! So, when you think of Chinese characters, or Hanja, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For most of us, it's pictures, right? But what if I told you that's just scratching the surface? Today, we're going to dive into how these characters are actually an incredible system for capturing something completely different: sound.
So let's just put it out there. Are Hanja just pictures? I mean, it seems like a simple enough question, but the answer? Well, the answer is going to completely change how you look at one of the oldest writing systems on the planet.
And, it's a totally fair assumption to make. We're all taught in school that Hanja are pictographs. The character for mountain kind of looks like mountain peaks. The one for tree looks like a tree. And look, that's not wrong, but it is just the tiniest piece of a much, much cooler puzzle. Okay, take a look at this. We all get it, right? It means no cell phones. But think about how you'd say that. You might say, no phones allowed, or turn off your phone, or no cell phone use. There's no one specific way to read it out loud. It gets the idea across, but it isn't tied to any particular words. And that is the huge critical difference between a picture and an actual character.
And this is where a system of just pictures runs into a massive wall. I mean, sure, drawing a horse or a river, easy enough. But how do you draw and, or from, or because? How do you draw promise? You just can't. A system that only uses pictures breaks down really, really fast.
So, what's the solution? Here it is, and this is the key to everything we're talking about today. A real character isn't a symbol for a thing, it's a symbol for a sound. Writing isn't about drawing the world. It's a technology for writing down speech. It's literally a code for the spoken word. And this is so important to remember. People were talking for ages before anyone ever wrote anything down. We already had words for things like horse, dog, mom, and dad. Writing came later. It was invented as a tool to record the words people were already saying. So that drawing of a horse, it wasn't just a cute picture. It was a way to capture the sound of the word horse. Okay, so how did they do it? How did they write down all those abstract ideas we talked about? Well, the first method was absolutely genius. They just borrowed characters for their sound. This is a principle known as gotcha. Let me show you how it works. This is such a perfect example. So you start with the character Sue. Originally, it was just a simple drawing of a nose. Made sense? But it turns out that the spoken word for from, or oneself, sounded exactly the same. So since you can't draw the concept of from, they just said, hey, let's just use the nose character, since it has the sound we need. Over time, everyone forgot it ever meant nose. And this wasn't some one-off trick. It was a super common strategy. You ready for this? The character for also, it started as a picture of an armpit. The one for do not, a knife. The one for only, a bird. In every single one of these cases, the picture's original meaning was totally ignored. It was borrowed just for its sound to write down some abstract word. Okay, but just borrowing sounds could get a little confusing, right? So they came up with an even smarter system, like a version 2.0. They decided to combine a clue about the meaning and a clue about the sound into one character. This is such a great way to see it. Let's take the character for river. On the left side, you've got the little symbol for water. That's your meaning clue. It tells you, hey, this has something to do with water. Then, on the right, you have a character that's pronounced gang. That's your sound clue. So you put them together, a meaning hint and a sound hint, and you get a totally new character. It's like a little rebus puzzle. And now for the mind-blowing part. This whole meaning plus sound thing, it's not some rare exception. No, according to the sources, this method accounts for something like 90% of all Hanja. Let that sink in. The overwhelming majority of these characters are not pictures. They are these brilliant sound and meaning puzzles. All right, so now that we're on the same page, that characters are basically fossils of sound, we can get into a really fascinating, and I should say, debated idea that comes up in our sources. What if some of those ancient sounds they were writing down were actually Korean? So here's one of the core arguments from the source material. The theory suggests the ancient Korean word for horse was mal, so they drew a horse to represent that mal sound. But the theory goes, when Han Chinese speakers tried to say it, they had trouble with that final L sound, so mal became ma. Now again, this is the theory presented in the sources, but it's a pretty interesting way to think about where these sounds might have come from.
And the source gives us a few more examples to chew on, like the ancient Korean word for dog, kae, compared to the Hanja reading Gyeon, or the casual word for father, abuji, compared to the character bu. The argument being made here is that you can still hear the echo of the original Korean word inside the Hanja pronunciation.
And according to this line of thought, it's not just simple nouns. The character for evening is connected to the Korean verb 섞이다, which means to mix. You know, like how day and night mix at twilight. The character for snow is linked to a Korean word that means awkwardly, kind of describing how snow just piles up. And maybe my favorite one is the character for house, which actually has the symbol for a pig inside it. This is said to point to the ancient Goguryeo culture, where they apparently raised pigs right inside the house. So, when you put all this together, it really pushes us toward a completely new perspective. We can stop thinking about these characters as just flat, static pictures and start seeing them as something way more dynamic, like fossils. Fossils of sound.
So let's just nail this down one more time. Hanja aren't just simple drawings. They are a highly sophisticated, brilliantly designed system of sound symbols. Their whole purpose was to capture and lock down spoken words. They're like a time capsule of how people were actually talking thousands of years ago.
And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. If writing is a fossil of sound, what other stories are hidden in there? Maybe these ancient characters aren't just a record of events. Maybe they're the last remaining echoes of entire languages that have vanished from the earth. What other secrets are they just waiting to tell us?